Hello everyone, my name is Ryan, and today I am presenting my close reading of this graphic novel by Chunlan Wen, published in 2020. And the central idea of this novel is I want to make it's about love can't cross language. As an immigration myself, I really connect with this theme. That's why I choose this as my close reading, because I always have to jump a bit in between the two languages, which is Chinese and English. And I've been living in Canada since 2016. I always want to express my feelings to my family, but sometimes it's hard for me to find the right word. Just like in this book, the author used color panel, story, and just different and silence to capture this feeling that I have and a lot of people have very perfectly. So in this presentation, I want to introduce the story and the character first, and then close reading by some moments that I really feel connected to show you guys how can love across the language barrier. So in the story has a fine line in between fairy tale and reality. It's about this Vietnamese American boy Tien and his mom Hen. His mom immigrating to America when she was young, but she only speaks limited English. But Tien, at the same time, he speaks limited Vietnamese, and they have some barriers, but they also have a lot of love bonding from each other. The whole story focuses in three different lines. First is reality. It's about Tien's school life, his crush, and how he comes out, and also talks about his parents, his mom's past experience in Vietnam, also her immigration experience, and the fairy tale becomes a bridge of them, including Vietnamese and Europe, just traditional fairy tales. The central idea has immigration, language, family, and queer identity, but it's all telling one central idea, which is love. So here are the central characters. This little boy here is the main character, Tien. He's a very shy Vietnamese boy and struggles to confess his queer identity to his mom. It took him a while, but at the end he got there, and he has a crush on his classmate Jonas, which is like this cute boy here. He represents the challenge growing up in between cultures. This is Tien's mom, Hien. She was born in Vietnam and grew up in Vietnam, carries refugee trauma because she had to move out of her family at a very young age, and she only speaks limited English. But she loves Tien very much. Through these stories, we can tell her deep love, even though sometimes she's not speaking, but it's all proved in between words and stories. This is Tien's dad. He's a very supportive man, but doesn't have a lot of plot in the story. And he supports Tien a lot too through his coming out journey, and provides very stable to his family. This girl is Tien's friend, Claire. She is Tien's best friend, and she's very supportive, encourage him to confess his love, and just helped him a lot when he's facing his identity. And this boy is Jonas. He's Tien and Claire's classmate, representing Tien's long-going and his struggle of his identity, but he's also very nice and helped him at the end as well. As an immigration, like me myself, I see Tien and his mom sometimes, like when he's searching words in between languages. Sometimes I feel like Tien, but sometimes I feel like his mom, because I cannot translate the language like directly to my family that I'm speaking to. And here is the summary overview of the story. So the whole story is split in three different color panels. The brown yellow part represents the past of his mom. This is her story of immigration to America, including trauma. And this is my favorite panel at the beginning part, because in 9 different pictures it shows the past, present, and fairy tales, which is very interesting to me. So the yellow part represents the past and Tian's mom's memory and her trauma from the immigration from Vietnam. And the blue panels, you can see the sea monster here. This represents the fairy tales. It's not only just fairy tales for kids, but it's storytelling with a lot of symbols. It has characters such as princess, sea monster, and magic, like all the good things. And the pink part represents the present time of Tian and his mom. As you can see here, this is when she was having a flashback, when she's moving back, when she's visiting Vietnam, and this is the flashback of her story when she was young. I think from transitioning the color panels, it makes the author makes the readers know that which layer that they are on, and the most importantly, everything overlaps together. Sometimes memory is like fairy tales, but sometimes the fairy tales can also representing the trauma. So I think this is very beautiful, because our life right now, present and before, is always overlapping as well. Sometimes I'm telling a simple story, but it carries people's fear or their desire, and that's how important the color plays the role here. Oh, I want to start close reading all the memories and the moments from the book, and they all represent different stage of his love and crossing the relationship changes between him and his family. So in the scene, Tian was talking with the priest. He's trying to come out, but he was saying that no, he doesn't know how to say the word in Vietnamese. And at this part, their conversation has a gap because he doesn't know how to say it. The priest also described this as family's death and heartbroken. I think in this part, language is not just a tool, it's more becoming a barrier. It's not Ting don't have emotions, but his lack of the words that his mom can understand. And the metaphor the godfather was making, which was a heartbroken family, I think here shows the social norm is showing the love, queer love, as a tragedy. And in this part, I feel like the author is telling us sometimes the language don't match the love. The love is there, but sometimes we just cannot feel it. So it makes me thinking, if love is relying on language, what would happen if language don't exist? And this is more about his mom. This is his mom's reflection in between the two stage of her life. The brown part represents her past refugee memory, and the pink part is how she is like in her emotional right now. It shows the overlapping between of both of these two time period. And it's about more, this is more Vietnamese versus English. It's about time itself speaking different languages, her past life and her life right now. She feels distance from both generations, her mom and her child, because they both speak different languages and in different land. I think this moment is very significant because yet crisscross these distance, tears are both grief and love. It shows that how immigration is aparting the language, but it's not aparting the love in between them. And I have also experienced this because I'm very far away from my friends, but I'm very close to my friend, but I also have emotion gap with my family overseas. So I think this part is representing sometimes even the language is not connecting, but the love doesn't go away. And for this part, it's like a bridge connection after the conflict we have seen in the two sides before. It's about fairy tales that's becoming their third language. That this is one of the most important symbolic the author was using fairy tale to tell us the bridge in between as a third language. The blue panel shows the princess, sea monster, and all the symbolic things to connecting the story with the main characters. And towards the end of the story, we realize the story mirrors Ting and his mom's struggle and how their story is updating. And the blue part is full of fantasy. Sometimes the lines of the characters in fairy tales are overlapping with the lines of people in reality. As you can see here, you can see the princess and prince here, but on the right side, there's Ting's mom and her struggling words. It's overlapping because sometimes the people in the fairy tales are going through the same struggle as people in real life. It's becoming symbolic and median between mom and son. To them, the story is representing something that language cannot capture. It's also representing protection, sadness, but also hope. Also represents hope in their connection and communication. The significance of this part, I think the author wants to tell us that the story is not just for entertainment, but it's also connecting between their existing and love. And sometimes, like when they cannot just express their feelings, they would tell the other person's emotion through these stories. That's how the magic fish is like. It's a translation in between language and culture to make the love cross the barrier of the language gap. After we see these elements and different pieces in their story, when we put them together, we can see the pattern of how the color is combining memory, reality, and fantasy together. The silence gap sometimes carries deep emotion, and I think Nguyen is telling us that love has multiform. It's not only relying on words, but you can also spread from picture and languages, and not only language, but it's more of the connection in between people and the stories that are carrying. I think to me that's the realest part about immigration life. Sometimes there's not always all perfect words to express the feeling. Sometimes we're talking in two different languages at the same time. Sometimes we're staying in silence. But the love is not going away, but adjusting to new form and to the people that we're expressing love with. And that is what Magic Fish is teaching us. I want to end this presentation with a question. Do you think love barrier plays an important role in close relationship? And how might love continue if language doesn't exist? Or can it expand from other forms such as stories or just through silence? Thank you. That was my presentation.